Alright guys, so today is July 1st. I guess it's been a little while since I did an update. Not a lot has changed, except for that I've got younger birds that are growing. But there's about to be some changes, so which will probably be incorporated into the video. So, y'all know that I want to move all these guys into a different loft to race out of. That was the plan. I had made arrangements with a guy about I was going to purchase the loft. I already had the money for the loft, but they fell through because we wound up having to replace the tires on our trailer, and his house is around maybe a little more than an hour drive away from here normally, and it was going to be even longer on the way back just because we were going to have to drive slow with the loft on the trailer. Then we had to wind up replacing the tires. So we did that, and I had made arrangements with him again. Was actually going to be going earlier this evening, but things fell through again, and that's not going to work out. So I'm kind of left with a dilemma. It's not going to work out to build a loft either. While I don't have enough money to build what I wanted to build, I could afford to build something else like this, but a little nicer. But I'm not going to do that. That's not going to work out either, for other reasons. But obviously this loft is overcrowded. It's got homers that I intend to race, it's got satinettes, and it's got rollers in it, and it's got homers that I'm not going to race, and it's got a white king. So I'm definitely not set up to race out of here. I don't want to race out of here because even after I remove all the extra birds, I've got 6 more down at the woods, though only 5 are going to be able to race. One has a problem with its wing. The wing doesn't work. But, sorry, neighbors are doing some fireworks, some early fireworks, which doesn't bother me, but y'all can probably hear it on the camera. But, it's going to be too crowded for in here, and the original plan was for my rollers to go in here. That part is going to stay the same. I still intend to put my rollers in here, and the crossbreeds are probably going to go in here too. I'm not sure how they're going to fly. I mean, as far as whether they roll or not, I kind of expect that most of them are going to roll some, or at least tumble some, but I kind of mean more of, from an endurance standpoint, are they really going to want to fly? Because satinets, they don't like to fly very much. That's why they're used as droppers. So I don't know how that'll all work out, but at least to start out, they're going to go in here, and I'm curious to see if they roll and how they roll. And I'll talk more about that project in a few minutes, assuming I don't forget about it, and if I do, I'll add it in. But so, and it's, it kind of is difficult, but I think what I've decided to do is all my young birds from this year, and then all the old birds that I intend to fly with them, which I say that because of course I can't race those old birds with them, but also that does not include all the old birds, like that blue bar right there. It's a few years old and from someone else's loft who raced it and trained it really well, so it's not likely that I would be able to train it to my loft. And I actually do know of a way that I think I could do it, but Rick would prefer that I not. And if I ever don't want them, to give them to him, so, I'm not going to do that. I have done it once before with a bird that was like, it's that black hen I've got in the breeding loft. I don't remember how old it is. I want to say it's at least 5 years old, it may be more. I'll look when we go in there. But, so I'm going to move all the young birds and all the old birds that I intend to fly into the breeding loft. And I originally built the breeding loft with the purpose of being able to fly old birds widowhood from it anyways. So it is set up to be able to race out of. I just was not intending to just race young birds. And y'all know it's got a few problems with it. But however, I've got a bit of extra money on my hands now that I'm not buying that loft. So I'm going to put some of it into making this better. I've got these boards down here that I've told y'all I need to put at an angle above these windows to keep water out, and I need to do something about the roof. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just buy a tube of silicone and go all the way along the outside and just seal it off completely and see if that does the trick. And I kind of don't think it will. I'm going to go along the bottom too, and I've explained before that I've got the OSB that I left when I built it. let me open the door a little without letting pigeons out. I built it a 2x4 frame sitting on top of the plywood, and you can see I left a little bit of a lip there for the OSB to sit on, and then screwed in, which makes sense. But because the roof is not any bigger around than the building itself, the water runs down the sides, and it actually hits that lip there, and then goes up underneath the OSB and makes the floor material wet and the floor itself wet, which is especially bad over here along this side. There's a gap, which is my fault in construction. And I've gone over the flaws I've made with this loft before, and whenever I do build a new loft, and I will build one eventually, I will again go over the mistakes I made here and how I'm doing things differently. But I'm not going to go over all that again right now. But so I am going to work on things, and I'm not sure that's going to fix it. I'm going to try to do the cheap fix and do that. And even if it does work, eventually it'll wear out. Though I have to say, this right here that I put down this side, because it was leaking really bad right here, and I sealed that up with caulk, and it's actually not caulk, it's regular silicone, because it was left over from some fish tanks I built. I built some fish tanks. The one my baby guppies are in, I built that one. I built a second one too. But anyway, so that was left over, and it fixed the problem, and it doesn't feel like it's starting to deteriorate. Blech, if I can get the word out, deteriorate any yet. So, you know, hopefully that'll work, at least for now. But I think at some point I am going to put an A-frame roof. I'm probably going to leave that plywood there as the ceiling and put on an A-frame roof. Also, I've had some suggestions made to me about how to better ventilate the loft, and I didn't ignore those. I remember someone said to drill holes, not a lot of holes, but to drill some holes close to the floor on the outside. I will do that, probably. I'm going to do something to keep water from going in through those holes, but and I don't remember who it was, but if you watch this video, and you know, feel free to leave that, you know, a more detailed comment, because if you've done this before, I'd like to know, you know, how big of a hole did you drill and how many, because I am interested to know. But basically, it needs to have holes in the bottom and holes in the top, so that when it gets hot in here in the summer, that hot air will rise and go out the holes in the top, or I guess a vent would be a better word for it. But it'll vent through the top and pull cooler air from right here along the grass, the cooler air in the bottom, and that'll also provide air circulation, so there's fresh air in there, but it's also cooler. That's what needs to happen. Also, like that screw stick, I don't know if y'all can see, I'll probably just take a hammer to it and break it off. That screw sticking out right there, that's where the little thing is for my trap. But we'll go in here now. I've got the light turned on so I can do an update in here. Of course, there are birds in here which have to be removed. Which is pretty basic. The homers are going to stay in here, with the exception of the white homers are not going to stay in here. And all the birds that are not going into that loft are going somewhere else. And I think I basically know what I'm going to do there. And I'll explain that as well in just a minute. But let's see. So white homers are going out because I'm not flying them. I could. They're young birds. I could race them this year if I wanted to. But I want to keep them and breed them. And in case y'all missed it in my last update, unfortunately they both turned out to be cocks. They did pair up when they were younger, but unfortunately they both turned out to be cocks. This pair of rollers here, well, if I can turn the light over here, maybe y'all can see them. This blue check, y'all still can't really see in there, but that blue check hen and this indigo spread piebald cock, whom I call Spot, they have not paired up yet, but I'm going to continue to try and breed them. Because of the way the loft is set up, all I have to do is give them water and food, and I can keep them in here and breed them. I don't prefer to do it that way because it's kind of a small box, but I can do that. These guys will be allowed to keep rearing their babies. You can see that baby right there. So, leave them alone, Willie. But there's two of them in there. They seem to be doing just fine. They'll keep raising. The satin nets will get closed up in their nest box. And I don't know if I mentioned, but my black hen blue bar cock pair, wherever they are, there's the blue bar sticking his head out right there. I'm not going to bother. Oh, there's the hen right here. She started to get into higher and higher nest boxes, so I'm hoping she's starting to regain her ability to fly a little bit. But, and, well, I told y'all I was going to look at her band and see how old she was, because I did trap train her to my flying loft and flew her some before breeding her. If I put my camera down, before breeding her and before she sustained this injury. Let's see, she's a 2012, it's 2017, so yeah, she's 5 years old. Oh, that's not good. Anyways, she's 5 years old, so older than those other birds, and she was flown too, as far as I know. So it can be done. I need to refill waters in here. I'll probably have to make some more waters because they're going to have a water. They're going to have a water, and then April and his hen, who I never really did name, in here with their baby. Now, I showed y'all that their baby fell to the floor and got its head pecked, but it wasn't too bad. They just pulled out some feathers. Well, it happened again, and this time they broke the skin, but it wasn't too bad, so I left the bird. I mean, I cleaned the wound off, but now it's looking black around the outside. It's not green. If it was green, I would know for sure it was infection, but it's black. I'm a little concerned about that. They don't seem to be feeding it very well. It's getting kind of thin. If it doesn't, I can't tell that they've picked up feeding it better in the next couple of days. I'll probably take it inside and hand raise it on formula. Y'all know I've got formula, so I can do that when I need to. And there's its older sibling, which has gained weight back better. It's doing real nice. This roller right here, I get my light to turn. It's really hot. It kind of hurts to touch it. Anyways, let me just hold it under the thing. So, let me put my camera on the neck. One-man photography team here. But anyways, now that it's molted out, it looks much better. Y'all can still see these three feathers have yet to molt, and they're kind of bent backwards. The reason it did that is because it kept getting caught in the, well, I'll show you in a minute. But it looks much nicer now, much smoother, even feathering. I really like it. It's recessive. I'm pretty sure this is recessive red. And if you can breed dilute or dun into it, that's how you get yellows. You can see some of its tail feathers. See, these are the old tail feathers. These are new ones. Well, some of them are new ones. You can see that one right there's an old one. Y'all probably can't see as well, but anyways, it's looking much nicer. The reason it kept flipping this thing over on top of itself will get stuck under there. And that's how it did that to its feathers. You can see some of these two little black babies have started coming out and about. You can see that one with the white on its head. Hopefully their parent was not a roller. Hopefully their father was not a roller. Hopefully it was the blue bar or another racing home ring here. Probably, hopefully the blue bar. I did pair them together for a reason. But, well, that's interesting. There's some green poop right there. Sometimes that happens. So, when you see it once, that's a sign you need to keep an eye out. But not necessarily means something bad is happening. But I see a little here too. I don't know. I'm about to be moving a lot of birds around, so I don't really like that I'm seeing green poop, but I really don't have time to do much about it. I've waited too long already. Y'all can see it's a little damp in that corner, so that's what I'm needing to fix. But anyway, so rollers are going over there. These two right here are staying in their nest boxes, and this one right here. Oh, and them right there. So that's 4 waters. I haven't decided exactly how many rollers I'm going to breed out. Y'all know I want a good flock, but I'm not going to breed out too many. Not nearly as many as I've got homers. I've got around 30 homers now. I only want a dozen or so rollers, just a flock to keep and to fly. I haven't decided if Willie's going out there or staying in here, but he's not going to fly in race course. These guys keep wanting to breed and lay eggs. They actually laid 2 eggs and I had to throw them out because, they're just on the hard floor. One was broken. But, and that was one thing I was liking about the idea that I was going to be moving them to another loft, is to hopefully break them of the breeding thing that we've had going on here. But, and get them into, athletic racing, mood. But, Anyways, y'all know I've got that little loft down at the woods. It's actually an old rabbit hutch. It is going, what these birds that I'm, not going to be flying at all are going in, but they're not going to stay there. A friend has a larger, I'm not even sure what to call it. It's got a shingled roof, and it's like a 2x4 frame, or maybe some other kind of wood, painted white. It's got 1-inch rabbit wire all along it. It's dividable. You can divide it in half. It's a walk-in thing. I'm really not sure what to call it. I'll show it to y'all when I get it. But she told me I can have it. My dad says I can have it, but he says I have to replace something else with it because he doesn't want me accumulating stuff. Also, Hawaiian Brian, I told you I'd answer some of your questions. You said that about me having a big yard, plenty of room to expand. Yeah, it is a big yard and there's plenty of room to expand, but it's not my yard. And my dad, well, neither of my parents are real big on the whole pigeon thing. I mean, they like animals, but they don't like animals as much as I do. My mom used to hate birds. I've kind of gotten her past the whole hating birds thing, but they're still not huge fans of the pigeons. My dad doesn't like all the lofts and things, so which has to do with why getting the new loft is not going to work out. So no, I won't really be expanding probably until I'm still hoping to build a nice flying loft, maybe next year or something, I don't know. But I will probably not be expanding loft-wise at all until I actually move out. But I'm a senior this year, so we'll see. I don't know how long it'll be before I will be moved out. Hopefully not too long. But no, so I will probably not be expanding. I'm going to have to get rid of that rabbit hutch to even have the new thing. But it'll be much larger, so it'll have room. Willie's over here on my foot. What you doing, Willie? Anyways, so of course I'm going to do some cleaning in here, and then I'm going to get birds all moved around, switched over, and that's probably going to take a little bit, so I will turn the camera back onto that, but I don't have a photographer or a tripod out here with me, and it won't be that interesting to watch me scrape poop anyways, so I'm also going to put down a fresh thing of pine shavings, which I know will encourage birds to breed underneath these boxes here, but oh well, I guess. Also, this red grizzled baby down here, it's doing better. I realized I haven't mentioned it. Come here. Come here. Oh, I can barely just not reach it. Can touch it and put my fingers on it. Can't get a hold of it. There it is. Here we go. So it will be flying soon as well. There's this. Here's one of the black babies, the other one that's got one little white feather on its head, and that's it. Which its older sibling is the same way. And there's its sibling right there. I'm not sure which one is older. They're nestmates. I need to put them in the system, so to speak. Charles is going to stay in here too, but I'm not sure if Charles is going to fly. Y'all know he wouldn't really fly when I first started trying to fly him. We'll see how all that works out, but I've done a lot of blabbing. Hawaiian Brian, you left a pretty long comment, and that's not a complaint. I enjoy reading your comments, but I'll probably have to read it one more time before I answer your questions. But I will go over what I'm wanting with the satin net crosses. That's what you really want to know. Alright guys, so I'm about to show you something that's not good and frankly pretty embarrassing. What turned into, or what was supposed to just be a simple scraping down of all the perches and putting down some fresh shavings before the new birds came in, has turned into this. That is what my floor looks like. So, yeah, there is a leak in the roof right there where the water's drained down. I kind of knew that. But most of this has come from that gap at the very bottom of the wall over there. The water just comes and goes straight in that way. And I know people are going to leave comments saying, hey, get your loft dried out, get that fixed, it's not good, birds get sick that way. Yeah, I know. Honestly, this is pretty embarrassing. But I told you I was going to show you my successes and my failures, my trials and my errors. Well, and this is the result of the design flaws of my loft, that my loft looks like this. This is very bad. The fact that I have had a very low mortality rate of young birds and old birds. In fact, I haven't had a single adult bird die in this loft, only babies that had not yet fledged. The fact that I've had such a low mortality rate, even as far as eggs go. That is not a result of how clean and dry my loft is. It is both a miracle and a blessing. So, I mean, this is very bad. You do not ever want to see this in your loft, and I'm seeing this on a routine basis. So I'm going to take silicone to the very outside of all these. Basically everywhere there's an edge, you know, where the OSB, you can't see from the inside, but this piece of OSB and that piece of OSB meet on the other side of this 2x4, and you know, of course, all around the bottom. So I'm going to do that, which should seal it. That should waterproof it and seal it. Of course, if I don't put on some kind of roof that keeps the water off of it, eventually that waterproofing will deteriorate, water will sit on top of it, water will freeze on and around it, and eventually water will get back in. But it should at least provide a temporary solution until I do something better about my roof. But yeah, so I was really tempted to not show you all this, to not turn the camera back on until I throw some fresh pine shavings down. And by the way, I'm not going to put a heavy layer of it down because that would actually hinder the floor from drying out. But yeah, but there it is, as awful as it looks. It's not good for the loft either. The floor will start to rot like that too. But I'll turn this back, and I've got a lot of, I don't know if y'all will be able to see it because it's dark out there. I've got a lot of birds out here. Better close that before they get out. But yeah, I'll turn the camera back on when I'm done. So here it is, all cleaned out, and I'm just going to put down a light layer of pine shavings. At least I think pine is as far as wood and as far as floorings go, pine is an antibacterial and antifungal. It's basically harder for stuff that's going to harm your birds to live in pine shavings. Cedar is the same way, but cedar is even worse than pine about being very aromatic, which is not good for the birds. And pine isn't the best thing to use either, but it works, it's cheap, it's what I've got. I would like to use aspen, but I haven't found a good place to get aspen bedding, and it's more expensive too. And I'm not exactly made of money. It's really not that, I haven't had any problems with it, and if you have a well-ventilated loft, it's certainly not a problem. Unfortunately, well-ventilated is not the term that I would use to describe my loft. And I'm trying to get it fairly even, but the birds are going to be walking and flying around in here. They'll spread it around pretty quickly, and they'll get it all up under the nest boxes. I'm throwing it under the nest boxes a little bit, but not too bad, because the birds it will all end up under there eventually if I don't rake it back out into the floor, up under the nest boxes and around the edges of the walls. This would normally go a little faster, but I'm holding the camera with one hand. I don't really have to. I could turn the camera off while I'm doing this, but here, I'll show y'all. Not going to worry about putting too much around the door either, because it will get pushed by their flying and walking, and then it will eventually wind up coming out underneath the door since it's not a good seal. I'm going to call that good. So now I've got to figure out how I'm doing this without getting the birds moved around. I need to refill waters and stuff. Of course, I took the feeder out of here. I will worry about all of that in a little bit. So these are staying locked in their nest box now. So are both these pairs. Both the pairs in here. So I'm just going to leave them locked up. I need to put the cock in here. I need to put the cock in here too. They're staying. This one's staying. I'm just going to leave everyone that's locked in there locked in for the moment. I'm going to let the birds back in, they're usually pretty happy to come back in, and they seem to really find quite a bit of joy in walking around on the pine shavings after I've had them out there. So I think what I'm going to do is go get all the birds that are moving in here from that gray loft, move them all in here, and then I'm going to take all the birds in here that are supposed to go to that one and move them over there, and then take the birds from here, which actually I don't think will be any, and the birds from the other loft that need to go down to the woods down there, and when I take them down there, I'll bring those 6 birds back up. I think is how I'm going to do that. So I think I'm going to do it that way. And it's dark outside, so I won't be able to film it very well. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all the birds that are moving, and I've got a basket I can put them in to move them around. Put them in the basket, bring them in here, and then get birds from here and move them over there. And I'll film in here, but y'all won't, it's night now, so you won't be able to see over there. But I'm going to do that now. Alright, so here are all the birds being moved over. I picked them up one by one and looked at them and felt them. They're all at a good weight. They all seem pretty healthy, and stop, that's how you break wings. Alright, I better help this one. Stop. Over. And we're good. Alright, I'm going to let them out before they hurt themselves, because for whatever reason they are freaking out. Obviously they need basket training. Anyways, letting them out. And as you'll notice, both satin nets are in here, because the satin nets are going to be being used as droppers. Come on out, guys. Also, this lighter colored blue grizzle, you can see it's going through its first molt. It's molting out darker now. Come on, guys. Come on out. They're a little unsure. Hey, come out that way if you want to. Come on. Willie's on my shoulder now. Come on. Go ahead. Still got a few in this corner here. Come on. Come on. There we go. Almost everyone. There we go. That's everyone. So now that I've probably just about doubled the amount of birds in here, I'm going to go around and catch all the rest that need to go on my rollers. And some of my rollers look similar to the racing homers, as I've got black spread racing homers and black spread rollers that have a little bit of white on them. At least I got some of these guys locked in nest boxes, so I don't have to deal with them. I've also got to make sure that roller right there goes in that nest box and not in this basket. But I've got few enough birds that shouldn't be too difficult. I still haven't decided about Willie, so I guess I'm just going to leave him for the moment. He's just chilling on my shoulder. I'll probably leave him in here. But you're going. So, if I can get it open. There you go, that's the first one. I'm not going to be able to film all of this, or probably much of it, because I've got to catch all these birds. Alright, so I just brought up those other 6 birds, which, as far as I can tell, they seem to be in just, good health, which they seem to be before. In fact, none of them ever acted sick the first time. But, we'll see how they do. They just seemed kind of weak, as far as their wings. When I got them out, I kind of tossed them a little bit, and they just kind of stood. So, I'm wondering if that's just because they've not really been able to fly, and able to flap their wings very much. They were in this basket for a while, then they've been in that small loft. I don't know, but they'll be able to fly around in here for a couple of weeks, and then I'll start training. So, we'll see how that goes. Then I got these white birds. I got to move them down there too. I already took the other 4. I took Steve and Elvis, the blue bar that can't fly right, and the white king, and moved them down along with those other 2 old birds that I'm not flying or breeding. Took them down there. Now these white birds are going to join them. That'll make 6, which really isn't that much, that many, so that's good. Now I got to get out of here without letting birds out. And again, you can see the darker feathers coming in on that grizzle, so I feel like there's something else I want to show you too, but I don't remember what it is. Anyways, I'm going to refill all the waters, move food, put food back in here. Same thing for the other loft. I'm probably going to put probiotics in their water, since this is probably fairly stressful on all of them. Even the ones that didn't get moved have just had a bunch of new birds dumped on them, so there was probably going to be some fighting for territory. So I'm going to give them probiotics probably for the next couple of days. the least amount of stress will probably be on these rollers and those pair of satinettes that are in there. But we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, so I'm in here, I guess just so y'all can kind of see all the birds moving around now that I've got them all in here. I'm actually going to talk to y'all right now about my roller frill crosses, but it's dark outside and they're in the other loft now, so you wouldn't be able to see them anyways. But, well, I guess Willie's in here and he's a roller frill cross, but he's probably not going to get bred because I've already got more cocks than hens. I've stopped with the crossing for right now. I had a cross going in here with this roller cock, but I took the hen away. Actually, she's right there. But and then that hen was being crossed to a roller cock, which is over another loft. But I put her with that roller, and you know they've got eggs now, or that satinet, they've got eggs now. Anyway, so those were the two crosses I did. These guys had 4 babies. Well, technically they both had 4 babies. These guys have 4 surviving babies, and the other pair, or that cock and the hen there, she's right there, and the other pair have 3 surviving babies, Willie being the oldest, and then they've got the brown and white and the black and white ones. Anyways, basically what I want are eventually rollers, which probably won't perform at first, but I want the look of a roller. You know, rollers just kind of have a charming appearance. Their body shape is really a lot like a racing Homer, except that their wings and tail are a little longer, and their wings are noticeably longer. Their tail, I think, is a little longer too, but not as noticeable. The wings definitely, though, and they're a little smaller, lightweight. When they fly higher. Just, you know, a nice, charming little bird. And you know, they're good for crosses because you can put colors and patterns on them pretty easily. And I want to take the stenciling. Let me grab one of these blue frills and I'll show you. So this is the cock. Now, basically, ignore the white flights because y'all know the white is just piebald. But y'all see the this is the oriental frill stenciling right here. Basically, I want to put that on a roller. Now the thing is, these satinets have half white flights and basically a white body with a white head. And my rollers, most of them have white flights and white head as well. I want to really do away with the white. I really want to do away with the white and have the whole bird be that stencil. So what I really should have done is either bred the rollers with blondinettes, which would be basically the same bird except without the white piebald genes. The whole bird is that stencil color. But I don't have any blondinettes, or bred them to a solid colored roller, which I only have 2. I have that recessive red tiger grizzle hen in there, and this blue check hen in here. And eventually I'll probably do that. I'm going to breed, basically for right now what I'm going to do is take the babies I have, which are from 2 different pairs that are unrelated. As far as I know, the frills I bred were unrelated, and I know the rollers are unrelated. So they're, considering I'm going to have to do a lot of inbreeding, at least I'm starting it off with very different bird, 4 completely unrelated birds, so at least that. But I'm going to breed the babies from one pairing to the other, to the babies from the other pairing, and hopefully I'll start seeing some stenciling in there. Though unfortunately, they're still going to have all those white piebald genes for sure. In fact, it may even spread. So what I'm going to do is breed her, this blue check hen, to some rollers, or some frills, to a frill, and I'm going to breed probably her to a frill as well and get a few more babies. The thing is, I don't want to be bogged down with them because the first generation is essentially useless. They are probably not going to fly very well, they're not going to roll very well, and they don't look very good. So, you know, I'm going to of course take good care of them, but they're probably not going to be any good for flying. They're really not that great to look at, and they, on top of that, I can't really sell them either. As far as, you know, they're basically just mutts. So they are basically useless and worthless. From, you know, a value standpoint, of course, their lives have meaning. I mean, not as much as a person, of course, but, you know, to, you know, animal lovers, you know, don't get me wrong, but from a value standpoint, they aren't worth anything. They're just mutts, you know, like stray dogs, except they're not strays. But so I'm gonna have to do some inbreeding. I've not really done Hawaiian brine. I've really not done very much research on it. I know it's been done before, but I really not. This is just an experiment, really. Assuming it goes well, I will be able to sell the still frontal rollers. They will be worth a bit of money, but for right now, it's mostly just a fun experiment, and I'm going to have to keep with it for a few years before I'm going to really start getting good results. So I've heard from a guy that has done it before that it took him 6 years to get anything decent, and still that, you know, that wasn't perfect looking. So, and really, you want to breed out a lot of babies in the F1 and F2 generations, and then you'll have more to choose from to work on that F3. Though evidently, I'm looking at really good pigeons coming out of like F6. So I've got, you know, a bit of time. But so I'll probably do that. Of course, I'm going to give her a break. To be honest, I really might not even breed her with a frill until next year. She's already had, let me think. She's got that pair. She's already had at least 2 rounds. I'm trying to think if she's maybe had 3, because it seems like it's been long enough she would have had 3. And maybe that didn't survive for some reason. I think she's only had 2. Anyway, she's already raised 2 rounds, but I want to raise a 3rd with him, maybe even a 4th. So probably a 3rd and 4th round from there. I'm probably going to raise 1 more batch from that one, and this is probably going to be it for that pair. So, because I mean, I only have so much space. The thing is, I desire to breed more from these rollers, because here I've got, you know, indigo and spread being bred to just a regular blue without spread, and, you know, I'm going to be getting rid of some of the white flights. I'm going to have some, but on some of the birds I probably won't just about have any. And on top of that, I'm going to be getting indigos rolling, because I've got 1 indigo cross, which is a hen, but it's not a roller, it's a cross, and, you know, again, down the road I'll hopefully get something pretty good, but for right now that's not really much of anything. So to get actual rollers that are indigo, I'm looking forward to that. Again, that is an actual breeding project, and a shorter term one probably. It's probably going to take a lot less time to develop white rollers from this family I'm starting over here than it's going to take to create still frontal rollers. That's going to take years. This is probably only going to take 2 or 3 years, or 2 or 3 generations, I suppose I should say. Basically, you all saw the other baby had a lot more white. I'm going to breed it back to its dad. I'm basically trying to create very small pigeons and white pigeons. I think I'm basically going to wind up doing both at the same time, though, you know, it's not that I necessarily want small white ones. I want white ones and small small white ones are great, and I think that's how it's going to wind out. I think that made sense. But, you know, he has more white than his parents did. His oldest daughter, has significantly more white than he does. I'm going to breed him back. I'm trying to get that white to spread, hopefully make some white rollers. And also his daughter is very small, he's very small. Both of them are, you know, only children, so to speak. As in, they didn't have a nest mate, so it was not that they were, you know, malnutrition. They weren't underfed. They had 2 parents feeding just the one of them, so they got fed pretty well, grew very quickly, but they stayed small. So, you know, that's something I'm wanting to work on. And I want some tiger grizzled babies too, but that's not something I want as bad, and so I'm going to, you know, sacrifice working on this pair for right now. It does look like one of their babies, actually I don't guess I had showed you yet, Hopefully I can do this without letting them out, though I can put them back. One of their babies, right here, this time, is going to be recessive red. Alright, I just realized the video stopped recording. I really hate that my camera does that. Anyways, I'm not sure if I showed you. So, in case you didn't see, one of these babies from this pair, I'm really not sure what's going on there. That's kind of a light gray color with a little bit of red. I'm wondering if that's spread ash red, but I would think that spread ash red would be a little lighter than that. But maybe not, and it's a baby, so, you know, it's still hard to tell. And then this one is going to be recessive red with good white flights, so basically it's going to look like its dad and its uncle and its grandfather. Still no tiger grizzling, so I don't know. I need to check and see if tiger grizzling can be carried without shown, because if so, hopefully breeding some youngsters back to the mom will produce some tiger grizzling. We'll see. But that'll probably be next year's project. So yeah, I think that just about finishes things off. It's kind of late, and I want to try and get this video posted before I go to bed, or loading to YouTube before I go to bed. But the birds seem to be settling in okay, so. I do need to put more waters in here. I gave them a water. They both have waters. I've got 2 waters up here and 1 water in there. These satin nets still need a water. Our milk jug in the fridge just has a little bit of milk left in it, though. I'm anticipating that it'll be finished up in the morning, and then I'll wash it out and bring it out here for them. They'll be fine overnight. And then I've got 1 more outside that I put in that little cage with the sick pigeon that died. I'm gonna soak it in bleach water, and then I'll use it in here too. So that'll give them 1, and then put 1 more out here. So that'll be 4 waters for all of them, because there's 1 down there too, for the birds that can't fly. And then each one of these will have 1. Of course, in order to put 1 in there, I took 1 out of the small loft that I just put all the rollers in, so I need to give them 1 too. So I need to make some more waters. I'll do that though. So I think that's it though. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully, Flying Brian, hopefully your questions were answered. I don't think there's anything else I want to show you all. So thanks for watching. At least now I can get training. I'm going to get a look around built for the loft as quickly as I can, and then hopefully within a couple of weeks I will be flying birds, and I'm going to have to train hard to get caught up and be able to race this season, but I can still do it. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to the fun that comes in flying them every day. So thanks for watching guys. Take care.